rewatched it, I mean.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So I guess we can
Is it
start.
over actually, or is it still going?
Nah. Well, the manga is done, which
Okay.
I'm trying so hard to not read. But I think they're coming out with a movie for the most recent arc that's coming out.
Okay.
And
So the anime
I'm really
is
excited for
catching
that.
up or whatever. Does it have a lot more to go though? I guess is my question.
Uh, I feel like they're gonna kind of accelerate it with this movie, like to finish it.
Yeah, like to bring
I
it
think
to a
there's going to be
close
a.
or whatever.
I heard that there's going to be a time skip, so like
Oh, okay.
basically that's going to accelerate everything, right?
Dude,
You know
honestly,
how that
time skips
goes.
are a really interesting way to tell stories too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so what are we gonna talk about today, Mike? So we're gonna watch this video, right?
Yeah. So if
Let's
you
do it.
can pull up that spot,
Yes,
let the
sir.
viewers hear this little small little clips.
All about speed. Scoring before the opponent can even react is his thing, but now he has to completely change his mindset. After all, speed is a gift and a curse. It's a gift when used at the right moment, at the right time, but a curse if you overdo it. You start getting tunnel vision, lose your breath, and most importantly, forget to assess your surroundings. Going into nationals, Hinata couldn't afford to just face every single obstacle head on. He had to learn when to pull his punches, when to observe, and when to accelerate. Thinking about it like that, it must have been even harder for Hinata to adjust to this completely new mindset. I've personally been in a similar position with a different sport, where I found out I'd been doing something basic, completely wrong for about 2 years of my life. Confronting that fact is really hard, and then to convince yourself to start from scratch is even harder. Hinata, as someone who's been doing one thing, attacking, for a really long time, taking a step back, slowing down, and observing is actually pretty tough for him. And that's exactly what he sets out to fix.
So, as you just heard, I guess it can be really hard to like admit that you've been doing something wrong and then go back to unlearn a behavior and learn the correct behavior because you feel like you
Right.
invested so much time into something,
I can
right?
agree with that for sure. Right. Like
Uh,
building habits is like, it can be a gift or a curse, right? In terms of
right.
like, you could be building the wrong habits, and if you're building the wrong habits, and even if you're not building the wrong habits, and you need to change those habits, it's extremely difficult, right? That's why they're habits,
Yeah.
whether they're good or bad, right?
Yeah. And that can apply to things also outside of esports and sports, but for the sake of our podcast, we're going to keep it to the sports side. I'll give an example for esports. Like for myself in like CS:GO and Valorant, it took me like years to truly understand the concept of counter strafing, which is a mechanic in a tactical shooter where all you have to do is just like counterbalance your movement so that you are able to stop and perform an action, right? And I guess in my head, like it didn't make sense because like in real sports, I always thought like I could just, I run when I stop, I can do something, right? In traditional sports, right? Uh, so I never understood the mechanic of a video game when I had to do something like that. And for years, like my friends probably do, and some of my longtime teammates were just like, "What are you doing, dude?" Or like, "You're not in control before you shoot." Like my aim probably was like okay-ish, right? But like I wasn't getting a core mechanic down. It only took recently for me to put everything together, including like how to peak, like figure all those things out together and combine them. But I had to unlearn bad behavior, a lot of these bad habits, uh, and then rebuild again. That's a good example in video game. Dude, do you have anything
That's pretty
like that
interesting.
you could? Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like sometimes like a lot of the time you don't really start doing these games or competitions or whatever these games, whether it be esports or regular sports. You don't really start off with like the best fundamentals or whatever, or like you're not really necessarily taught how to do it. You just like pick it up and start trying it, right? Like, oh, like this might be easy to see or do. Um, for example, like say like in I don't know, like StarCraft or something, like in StarCraft 2, when you're just like, I'm just gonna pick this up, I'm gonna start doing things, right? I'm gonna start clicking on things. For the longest time, I did not understand that you could eight click, which
Oh
in that
yeah.
game, like like when I was a lot younger, when I was a kid, right? Like I didn't know.
Right.
I
Right.
thought I was right clicking on every enemy, like I was selecting my
Mm-hmm.
units, right clicking on the exact enemy unit I wanted them to shoot at, and then like
Sheesh.
moving them or doing whatever, and then right clicking on the exact unit that you know, like I wanted them to shoot at.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
realize that like if you A click, which is attack move, right? That's like an attack move command. That they'll attack whatever units they first see in that area, right? So like it requires a lot less micro, a lot less micromanagement, right? So that's like
Right.
something that might exist, right? Like this is a habit. Oh, I'm just right clicking on stuff. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I didn't even know this A click exists. Like, so you don't really know, right? Like, I don't know, like jump shooters, like say like I don't know, like Lonzo Ball, he might have like a janky jump shot going in, right? Maybe they just didn't create like, oh, it works, so like just go do it, right? Things like that. I don't know, like in League of Legends, I was doing almost the same thing where like you right click every single minion, but that's really hard. Actually, like A clicking the minions is probably the best way to do it for like say like AD carries or something, or like ranged characters or something. I don't know. There's like a lot of small things that you don't really pick up or really understand or know until like somebody like tells you otherwise, right? So I guess like in terms of mechanics, counter strafing, right? Unless somebody tells, also colloquially known as AD, right? Like because you're just like moving left, right. So like the little counter strafe movements, you don't really practice that, or you might not know that is a mechanic that exists. I was pretty surprised. One of our friends, Warren, I don't know, he started playing a little bit of Valorant, right? And then so I think Warren might be a guest one of these days. He's an optometrist, anyway.
For sure.
Yeah. So and he's really good at League, by the way. But anyway, long story short, Warren wanted to pick up Valorant, so I said, okay, you know what, Warren, like let's go out there and let's see what you got. And then he had no idea counter strafing existed, and to me, I'm like, oh, I've been doing this for like years. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like you have to tell somebody that's new to this like genre that like you have to stop moving in order to shoot first, right? To be accurate on your first shot. So then the counter strafe is like such a core mechanic to the game. Like you need to like really like make sure somebody understands that as soon as possible, right? Because it's like oh, like it just appears to the person that's getting shot at, like they just stopped on a dime and then like headshot them instantly. But like on their side of things, what it looks like is I have like I've moved to where I wanted to move, stopped my movement, right on a dime, and then aimed and shot. And like so like all these things don't make sense to people unless they build those mechanics and like they're taught about it and they learn about it, right? So this is kind of a thing that you might be able to learn from just watching other people, but is a lot easier if somebody else tells you about it and shows you what to do, right? So it, like straying from the point, but from the video, of course, like there's like certain mechanics or certain habits that we build perhaps that we didn't know there was a better way to do it, right? Like or there might be like maybe this is like something we should try changing, or so I thought that part of that video was so Mike, let's try this. Are you tilted?
I'm always tilted. Are you tilted, dude?
Dude, I'm always tilted. I'm tilted number 1, 2, 3, all the way down the line. I'm always tilted, no matter what episode, no matter what season we're on.